Hello everyone, welcome back to the Traxion YouTube channel and welcome to Suzuka for this iRacing Touring Car Challenge track guide. Now, Suzuka and the touring cars, on the face of it, it's an absolutely incredible combination. I'm really excited to see how the racing here is this week. However, to go faster, you've got to go slower. That will all make sense when we get into the track guide. So if you've followed my track guides before, you'll know that they are not a place for hot laps. It's a slow, methodical approach where we learn the circuit and talk about my braking markers, my reference points, and the little quirks that each circuit has. So as usual, I will show you a flying lap in full. Then we'll jump in the car, do a few laps, and show you those braking markers and reference points in action. Then at the end, we'll talk about pit entry, pit exit, and where I think you might be able to overtake here at Suzuka. So enough talking, let's get on track. Okay, so here we are on the main straight here at Suzuka. So as usual, we've set the sim time to match the official series. So it's the 16th of April 2022 and the time in the sim is 1:20 p.m. We're also using the iRacing sprint setup, which is what is used in the official series. Track temperature right now, as you can see, is 49 degrees Celsius, exactly the same as it was in the flying lap that you've just seen. Brake bias this week, we are running 42.9%. There are some really heavy braking areas here at Suzuka, but there are places where you do need to trail brake. And I find that a lower brake bias, but braking a little bit less, is much, much better. It helps keep the car a lot more stable. So Suzuka, excellent track. Everybody loves Suzuka. Although I'm quite interested to see how the TCRs race here. They've never raced anything like this here at Suzuka before. So turn one. We're going to be approaching it on the left-hand side. We're going to be up into 6th gear. And we're going to be braking just at the end of this dirty patch of road. You can see it there. Then there's an access road on the left just past the 100 board. So just at the end of the dirty patch here, we're going to be braking nice and smoothly. Not heavy braking at all here. Maybe 30-40%. We're going to be braking all the way around this turn, downshifting as we go. down to fourth, and then we're going to be going down to third gear for turn number 2. We want to be approaching it from here. And now, from this point forward, I can't stress how important it is to be smooth with your inputs. Now, we've all heard the phrase, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Well, it's never been more important than here, through this section here, through turns 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, you want to keep forward momentum, but there's not many points through here where you are at 100% throttle. So third gear, apexing this one quite late. Be really, really gentle on the throttle because it will understeer off. We're going to be up to third gear, then a short shift to fourth, and then back down to third just as we turn in. Cut that curb on the left, and again here, nice and smooth with the throttle. We're not really going above 50-60% here. We're just trying to keep the car nice and smooth, trying to set each turn up. And again here, be really, really patient. Now at the exit of turn number 6, we want the car right over to the right hand side to open up turn number 7. And we turn in, and again we're just easing off the throttle just to prevent that understeer. It will become more obvious when we're on a flying lap. Accelerate round, nice and tight all the way around here up to turn number 8. Now turn number 8, you can actually cut this curb a lot more in the TCRs than you can in a GT3, for example. But I don't cut it that much because I think it's really easy to get off track on exit. So we're going to be braking slightly before the 50, and we're going to be turning in, and we're going to be taking a bit of a chunk of this curb. Car will run out wide, and then we're pretty much straight away on the brakes. Now I take this in third gear. Second gear does give you a better exit, but it doesn't downshift very easily into second gear. It's got that shift protection thing. So I just leave it in third. You do get a better exit with second if you can get it into second in time. Let the car run out wide. Over to the left hand side to open up turn number 10, which is flat out. And as we go around turn number 10, this is flat out. At the end of the curb on the right, we're going to be braking, but we want to keep the car right over to the right hand side because we want to open up the hairpin and apex this one quite late. And then we can get on the gas, because if you don't, you'll get a load of understeer and you'll be off the circuit. So around turn number 12, we're nice and tight all the way around. Mid-corner, we'll drift wide, such as here. And then we'll just cut it back for the second apex. And this is flat out, 5th gear. We don't go to 6th on this part. So here you can see there's a small pathway on the right-hand side. And then there's a definite patch of dirt there. You can see it moves across to the right-hand side of the circuit. That's what we're going to use as our braking marker. Now, it's very, very important here to brake and then release the brake nice and smoothly. Think about what the car's doing. We want that suspension to compress the brake, but then we want to release the brake smoothly so the suspension doesn't bounce up and you get a load of understeer. So we're braking here down to 4th gear. And then easing off the brakes as we approach spoon, just down to 3rd gear, let the car run all the way out wide. And then before the end of the curb roundabout here, we want to start braking again for the exit of spoon. But again, you want to be braking very, very slightly and think about getting the car settled, because if you don't, you'll get a load of understeer. And it's quite easy to lose 2 or 3 tenths around this one corner alone if you haven't got the car nice and stable. Then you're probably going to turn in here earlier than you would think. It's 3rd gear. But then again, on exit, nice and smooth with the throttle. If you don't, it will understeer. Then all the way down to 130R. Move the car over to the left to make the circuit as short as you possibly can. Now I brake a tiny bit for 130R, just a very, very small amount before the 50 border. Leave it in 6th. And all we're doing is we're braking a tiny bit and off the gas completely. Let the car almost course round, and when you get to the apex, then you can get back on the gas. Be careful of this curb on the right, because it still does that weird thing where it does like to step out. It's much easier to control in a TCR, but just be mindful of that. A couple of wheels on the curb, but no more. And then we'll want to move the car over to the left for the hairpin, and you can see the dirt on the road surface there coming across. Well, I cut across diagonally, and then when I get to the end of the dirt, it's pretty much at the 100. Then I'm going to be back on the brakes down to 2nd gear. Now in the flying lap, I cut the second part of the chicane a little bit too much. Just makes the car bounce around a bit too much. You can take a big chunk of this one on the right, as it does jump it. But then here, you just want your wheels on the red and white curbing, and then it's flat out, nice and tight, around the final turn, and that's a lap. Right, we'll pick up the pace. Hopefully, it'll make a little bit more sense as we go around. So we're looking for the small access road on the left-hand side, and there's where the dirt ends, and it's nice and smooth braking down here, all the way down into third gear. And we're going to apex this one quite late. Nice and smooth on the throttle. Now, if you watch my throttle inputs as we go around here, so up to fourth, and then back down to third. Again, we just want to open up these as much as we can. Stay in the middle of the circuit to open them up. But I'm just trying to keep forward momentum, but preventing the wheel spin. Now, here you're pretty much going to lift all the way around because you want the car over to the right on exit. And then here again, just modulating the throttle to prevent the wheel spin. Up to fourth, nice and tight on the left-hand side as we go around. Then we're going to be down to fourth, cutting the curb on the right-hand side. So just before the 50, brake in fourth, and cut the curb, and then back on the brakes, down to third. You can go to second. You will get a slightly better exit, but I think it's just a bit smoother in third. So flat out around here, end of the curb on the right-hand side. We're going to be on the brakes. Move the car right over to the right-hand side to open up this, because we want a really late apex, because we want the car as straight as possible to get a really good drive out. So again, nice and tight on the right-hand side. Car will run wide, then we'll want it back. Now this is where it's all about being smooth to prevent that understeer. I'm releasing the brakes really, really smoothly. So down to fourth, really smooth. And then same here, just being really gentle, really, really gentle with the throttle on exit. Then move the car over to the left to make the circuit as short as we possibly can. And then 130R just before the 50, it's a really, really minimal amount of braking, not much at all. Then we're just going to let the car coast round and then back on the accelerator. Again, that's as much as you want to go on that curb. As soon as you cut across this, where that dirty patch is, not patch. And then again, I'm in third gear, I'm in the wrong gear. Right, one more flying lap. We'll try and pick up the pace. Was that a 2:16.2? Right, we'll be able to beat that. So we're looking for the small pathway on the left hand side at the end of the dirt on the road surface there. We're going to be braking nice and smoothly all the way down into third gear, nice and smooth. Apex this one really late. We're off the gas, just modulating as we move through. Then up to fourth, and then we're going to be on the brakes down to third, and here's where you need to be smooth. You can try and rush it, practice that, and you will find yourself going a lot slower. You've just got to really be disciplined through there. Move the car over to the right on exit. And again, as soon as you feel the grip, you can start accelerating fully. Move the car over to the left. Up to fifth, then we're going to be going down to fourth, just before the 50 and braking. Put the curb quite a bit. And then we're back on the brakes, down to third gear. I just feel third gear is a little bit smoother. Might lose a little bit on exit, but I think you'll gain it on entry. But just at the end of the curb on the right, we're going to be braking all the way down into first gear. Late apex. We're on the gas. And then we can power all the way up the hill, nice and tight on the right hand side. I'm looking for the dirt that moves across onto the right hand side of the circuit. That's our braking marker. There it is. So down to fourth gear, nice and smooth. Down to third. And again here, same again, nice and smooth. It's better. We'll try and get the right gear on the last chicane this time. Just before the 50, small amount of brake, let it course round and then back on the accelerator. And then as the dirt moves across the circuit, just at the end of it there, we're going to be hard on the brakes. Down to second gear. If you go over that curb, it does bounce around quite a bit. That was a better exit. That's a quicker lap time. That's a 2:15.497. I've never known a circuit or a combination where you've got to be really, really patient. If you try and rush it through, well, after turn 2, then you'll lose a whole load of time all the way from turn 2 up to turn 7. You'll lose so much time. You've got to be super, super patient. Right, let's look at pit entry, pit exit, and where you can overtake. So pit entry then, it's just as you exit the final turn, turn number 17. Do you want your car over to the right-hand side? It will be anyway. The natural line through here is on the inside. But there it is, just off to the right there. It's pretty straightforward here at Suzuka. Look at the yellow cone there. So we just need the pit limiter on. It's 80 kilometers an hour, so it's quite a fast pit limit, so you should have no issues getting stops coming into the pits at Suzuka. Similar story, pit exit, quite simple. There's the green cone. We're going to release the limiter at the green cone. You've got to stay in the pit lane till you get to the blue cone. Now, this is where things get a little bit trickier. When you exit the pit lane there, you're pretty much going to be on the turning point for turn number 1, as is usual story with most circuits. So just keep an eye on your relative. When you're exiting the pits, if there's somebody come around to lap you, just back off, let them in front and try and follow them round this tricky little section here. Right, overtaking at Suzuka. It's going to be really fun this week. So, overtaking then here at Suzuka. As usual, we're going to assume that people are going to defend, and we're going to talk about what we can do as an alternative than sending it up the inside. So we'll do a lap and we'll talk about where I think we might be able to get it done. So turn number 1, people are obviously going to try and overtake into turn number 1, or any corner that is preceded by a long straight, then that's where people are going to try and overtake. So people are going to defend. We're going to assume that people are over here and they're going to defend the inside line. That's fine. I've overtaken many people on the outside of turn number 1 and 2. So we're going to hold a wide line, give them room on the inside. But because our line around turn number 2 is wider, that means that we can get on the gas a little bit sooner. Now, I can see the touring cars going too wide from here all the way up to turn number 7. So if you don't get the overtake done here on the exit of turn number 2, then you might find yourself too wide through 3, 4, 5 and 6. And if that's the case, then I would much rather be on the outside of turn number 2, because that's going to put us on the inside where I think the overtake might actually be done. So here, I can see, genuinely, I can see touring cars going too wide round here. No problem at all. Too wide. So there's somebody on our right-hand side there now. We're going to have to give them room around this turn. But then, if we are here, that puts us on the inside of turn number 7, which is a longer radius turn. And if we're on the inside here, then I think that we might get the overtake done. So we're actually setting the overtake up turn number 1, and we're not going to be overtaking them until turn number 7. Round here, I can't really see much getting done. Yeah, people might make it too wide round here, but I can't see that ending very well for anybody. Same story into the hairpin. Yes, people might send it. You can send it up the inside here. But if somebody is defended on the inside here, well, that only means that their exit is going to be massively compromised. So I wouldn't recommend trying to overtake them on the inside here. We're trying to make them defend if possible. And then at the last moment, we're going to move over to the right-hand side and we're going to take our normal line, or even a wider entry and a much better exit. And if we get that done, then we're going to be following them up here. They're going to be much slower than what we are. But again, they're probably going to defend going into spoon. They're probably going to adopt this line over here, defending. Well, that's fine. We can try and go around the outside. But you can take a wider line around turn 13. But you will get an off track. But you can go over here if you wish. Just to try and make the move stick. But you will have to sacrifice an off track to get the overtake done around there. And then 130R. Again, you want to try and make them defend into 130R. So their speed is massively slower than what yours is. So you can then try and overtake them into the chicane. So here we just want to take our normal line through here. Make them defend. If they are, then hopefully we can get up the inside here. This would be a better place to overtake, up the inside here. Although it puts us on the outside, the mid part of the chicane. It puts us on the inside more importantly, of the final turn. Obviously, radius is much shorter. And then we've got the inside line for turn number 1. So that would be my advice. It's going to be really, really good, fun, close racing this week. So my advice, if somebody defends around the outside of turn 1, try and overtake them on the exit of turn 2. You may find yourself too wide through 3, 4, 5 and 6. And if that's the case, well, if you're on the outside of turn number 2, that means you're going to be on the inside of turn number 7. Through 8, 9, you're not really going to get anything done. If somebody defends going into the hairpin, well, go deep and try and get a much better exit and try and overtake them going around turn number 12 into turn number 13. And then coming out of 130R, try and overtake them on the inside if you can, because it will give you a much better chance of getting the overtake done coming out of the final turn. So there we go. That's Suzuka done. Please let me know down below in the comments how you get on this week. What were your times before the guide? What were your times after? Did I help? Did I cover everything that you wanted to be covered in a track guide? I've said it once and I'll say it again. Really, really important in the first sector to be nice and smooth with your throttle inputs. Keep the car moving forward, but just try and prevent that wheel spin. As always, thanks for watching. Good luck. Keep it pinned.